December 18th, 2015, to the Ridgewood News and to the record by positioning on the bulletin board in the lobby of Borough Hall and by filing notice of same with the municipal clerk. I would remind all members of the public there are 3 fire exits in council chambers, one here, one there, and of course one in the rear. So I described it, so I don't have to read the rest. In addition, we are being recorded by both audio and video for purposes of creating a record during the public portion of this meeting. If any member of the public wishes to speak and wishes to be recorded or heard, they need only identify themselves to the record and make sure they approach the front here so the camera gets them. I also want to take this time to welcome Marjorie, our secretary, back. We've missed you, and glad to have you back. Okay. So it seems like a pretty light schedule this evening. We have the approval of minutes.
Before that, we should have the roll call.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Roll call, please.
Mr. Acquafreda, absent. Mr. Arkelian?
Here?
Mayor Mignon?
Here.
Ms. Boland?
Here.
Dr. Garretts is absent. Mr. Glass? Absent. Mr. Grasso?
Here.
Mr. Monroe?
Here.
Mr. Caslin?
Here.
And Mr. Craig?
Here.
There's a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
I don't believe we have minutes yet, but I know Marjorie has quite a collection of tapes. So I guess you should work on them while we're going, but at least we're moving forward with that as well. And I believe that, Mayor, that the audio and video is working.
It should be, yes.
Okay. We just have a single agenda item. We have no new business, no memorializations. The new business would be 10 Route 4 East, application 2016-01, 10 Route 4 West, block 1403, lot 9. We have representatives.
I guess if we could have your names, please.
Joseph Muccio.
All right.
And William Brown.
Okay. And you'll both be testifying, correct?
Yes.
All right. If I could ask you to both raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give to this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we've sworn both witnesses in. Before we begin, do you have the notices that you provided, or were those provided to Nicole?
It would provide to Nicole.
Okay.
On last Friday.
On last Friday?
Yes.
Okay, so subject to my review, Mr. Chairman, the board has jurisdiction. Nicole did not raise any issues with me as to the appropriateness of notice, but I will review that with her after the hearing.
Perfect.
Good to go.
Okay. You want to just let the board know your relationship to the application?
The property is owned by my mother.
Okay.
I'm the manager of the property.
Okay.
And I'm William Brown. I'm the architect from William G. Brown Architects, 241 Madison Avenue, Wyckoff, New Jersey.
And you want to just get his credentials?
Sure.
And
Mr. Brown, if you can briefly provide your professional education and experience to the board, please.
I have a Bachelor of Architecture and a Master's in Finance. I've been practicing architecture in the state of New Jersey for 35 years. I've testified in numerous towns. I don't remember the last time I was here. I'm licensed in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. And I've been doing this for 35 years.
And Mr. Chairman, Mr. Brown is well known in, I guess, in Bergen County. So, I mean, I've only been here for 6 months, so I don't remember Mr. Brown testifying.
No, I don't either,
but I know he's testified before other boards.
Anybody on board have any questions, concerns? All right, we'll accept you as a professional, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
One question. Are you testifying as a planner also?
No. I can, probably the best is to take you through the plan and show you.
That would be best.
And Mr. Brown, before we begin, if we would just mark that as A1, and if you would just describe what that plan is named and the date and the last revision date.
We're looking. We're looking at the site plan, and it's done by myself. It's dated July 13th, 2016, because we've added a few revisions. We've given you a couple grade points out in the front. I made 3 additional copies. The only things we've added to the plans that you don't have is showing the grade from just 3 of them. Just showing the grade from the front entrance, the new proposed front entrance to the sidewalk, which is 10 inches. But I wanted to put that on the plan. So my plans that are here, that this one's the site plan, and it's you said A1, is it?
It would be A1, Mr. Brown.
A1.
And just so that I'm clear, that's I'm just pulling out what my drawings were, is that I believe the last date was June 20th, 2016?
Yes.
That was submitted, and then what's been provided on A1, you've indicated that you added some grading.
Yeah, at the request, we've added just some shots we had the builder take from the proposed front entry and the proposed sidewalk that comes out the front of the building. And like I said, it's down 10 inches at the existing sidewalk. That's the only thing we changed on this plan. As you can see, the front of the building to this corner of the existing building is 18.8 feet. We're proposing to take out a planter that's even closer to the property line, and just put a pier with a railing. There's a modern planter that we're proposing to remove. Then moving across the front of the building, we're proposing a new entry to the lower level for a tenant with a new sidewalk, and you can see that better on. I'll change to, we'll go to A1, which I guess would be A2, exhibit A2.
A2, is that also dated June 20th, Mr. Brown?
It's dated well, this one's dated June 20th, yes. But, okay. But, of course, I put a July 13th date on there because I did put that grade on this plan, too. The entry to the left, as you can see, is going to have a new railing and the planter removed. And in the front of the building, which it says first floor, which is really the lower floor, is going to have a new double door with 1 or 2 steps down into the building. I think once we shot it, it's only going to be 1 step down from inside. So there'll be some new glass, a new double door, and where we're doing the sidewalk to the right of the sidewalk, we're going to need to put in approximately a 1-foot retaining wall in that landscaping there, to the right of the proposed new front door. And the sign, the pier sign that's out in the front pile is going to be removed. So the larger sign is going to be removed, and we're hoping to put the signage on the proposed metal roof, standing seam metal roof on the 2nd floor, as I'll show you in the elevation on A2. So the 3 things we're proposing to do is remove the planter, put a commercial 42-inch railing with a new column, replace some of the lower level facade with glass and a double door and a new sidewalk, and above that a standing seam metal roof which projects 3 feet. I think I saw in Burgess's report, somebody's, it said 4 feet, but we're proposing a 3-foot standing seam metal roof.
And just so I have everything clear, Mr. Brown, what's occurring on the lower level is there are 2 planters that are existing, those are going to be removed.
Yes, and I'll go over it on A2, which is
Okay.
easier.
I just wanted to be clear what you said. That's fine.
And this will be A3.
Correct.
So on A2, which is labeled A3 for classification purposes, again, it's June 20th is the date We put a few grades on here, so of course I put a July 13th date on it. The only difference is the grades and the detail of the grades, just showing that at the sidewalk, it's 0, and the wall's going to go up 2 feet, but only be 1 foot above the paved area on the other side. So it'll be a 1 foot retaining wall with a 1 foot raised section to keep things from the parking lot crossing over into the landscaped area over here. So we're proposing 2 signage areas, which we will come back and do a sign permit, which will conform to the municipal sign ordinance. But we're proposing this standing seam roof across here, where we'd like to put signage on the front, and a standing seam roof here with signage on the front of that. And then, again, the planters removed here with the railing, the fixed glass here with a double glass door. That's the whole application.
Before I get to our board, I'd like to hear from our professionals, Rob, Tom.
I think I pretty much did the review of this. As Mr. Brown mentioned, it is a developed site, and the lot shape is such that it's created a number of existing non-conforming conditions. Really, the 2 issues that are at hand are the projection of that new seam metal roof into the required front yard, and also that the signs are proposed on these roof structures, which could be thought of as canopies or marquees, so basically roof elements that project from the building. And so those are really the 2 issues that require variance relief, and there are a number of existing non-conformities with retaining buffers and a few other issues, and so those could be addressed as well if the board sees fit. One other issue I wanted to point out was it does not appear to be any obstructing to parking, and so the applicant should address that, how that's going to be done. And also, the one other issue, I'm not sure if I heard, I know the bottom floor talks about being used for retail space. Is that the same for the upper floor?
Yes, yes. The reason behind the metal canopies is we can get some, architectural lighting in there, so the building will look better aesthetically. Trying to update the building slightly from, if ever anybody's gone by, it needs a little updating. So what we're trying to do is create some areas where we can put some, architectural lighting in the soffits of the metal roof. It's not like a fabric canopy. It's part of the building, so it'll be architecturally, and we'll match the metal roof to the building and kind of create some.
Facing toward Route 4?
Yes.
Is that correct? So away from the residential?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Costa, anything?
Mr. Chairman, I was out there this afternoon. It looks like the lot was paved on the left side, as you're looking at the building.
Yes.
But it's not, obviously, it's not striped, so
It
maybe
is-
you could stripe it.
Correct. I'm waiting to find out what, this meeting to do the work on the facade of the building before redoing the parking lot on the right. It's pretty bad condition now. It's all cracked. So at that time, when I redo the paving of the right parking lot, then I'll stripe it. But I've already contacted the company, and they've already given me a quote to stripe the two parking.
And then maybe just the apron, the concrete apron, looked like something cracked. So that was,
The concrete apron
as you go into the left parking lot, the new parking lot.
into the left.
I didn't see that.
The sidewalk of the apron right there, going into the lot.
With this,
What do you consider an apron?
that goes from the street up onto the
Oh,
the
it's
parking
cracked?
area.
Okay, so I'll have that replaced.
Maybe when they paved it, they cracked it.
So with this application, we'll repair the apron and stripe the make sure the parking lots are striped.
Yes, absolutely.
One other comment pertaining to the parking area, depending on the nature of the retail uses and hours of operation, if they are going to be open when it's dark, either in the morning or at night, at various times of year, there should be some sort of at least safety lighting in the parking.
The right side parking lot has a light on the pole, which I'm paying now the PSE&G for, as a monthly expense. The left side parking lot, I will add lighting.
Those are our neighbors. Again, just one thing, that left side parking lot, many years ago, I don't know who was on the board, that was the mortgage company.
Yes,
Right?
yes.
You bought it from
I bought it from them, yes.
Because that was a big thing when they expanded the parking lot there. So a lot of the neighbors came out and they were very, particular about what was going to go on. There had to be a fence installed, landscaping installed, the wall installed.
Mhm.
So.
Which was?
Right. I'm saying any lighting, that was a big concern with the neighbors.
Well,
They would need the appropriate cutoff. Right.
Oh, okay.
You work with our professionals on that?
Absolutely.
If you're so approved?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's it, Chairman. Maybe one slab is big, but I think if you're taking out the planters, where you go in the
Right.
to get to the second floor, with the roof leaders that look like they're spilling out on that.
Oh, you mean the walkway to the
Yeah,
building?
slab went down.
That's actually gonna be replaced. Both slabs are being replaced.
So I'm saying maybe you need to do something with the roof leaders. I know your contractor is sitting in the audience.
Absolutely.
Because I know him. And he can certainly fix the drainage.
We actually discussed new drainage for the two new roofs, and he's already taking care of it.
That's it, Chairman.
Okay. And you, my understanding is from your testimony that you're going to be coming back with a comprehensive sign?
Yeah, through a sign company, yes,
Application?
once we have the tenant.
Okay. Because if I remember correctly, you already have a variance for the signage that's there with the monument
monument
sign.
sign,
Yeah.
yes.
But didn't you testify it's being removed,
Yes, we're going to remove the monument sign,
not relocated?
not relocate it.
Because the plan says relocated.
We talked, well, we were talking,
We did talk about relocating it, but I think we're gonna, if we're allowed signage on the two roofs, the two new roofs, then we don't need the monument sign.
yeah, our thought is, because the canopies, if we can get signage on the canopies, because this building is on the access road, the monument, by the time you see the sign, if you're not on the access road, you're past it, and you have to go, as everybody knows, you have to make a U-turn, go all the way around, back down to
Okay.
Paramus.
Well, I guess we'll discuss that whenever you come up, but that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Costa, is there streetscape down there?
It's actually,
That's what I was just gonna ask.
streetscape just on the corner is brick pavers, but it's not. So there's no streetscape continuing on that side.
Because the plan says this is an R1 zone, but it's not, it's a C1 zone.
I mean, again, it's up to the board, whether or not you want to see some improvements on the corner. Right now, there's a grass strip there that's somewhat maintained. So really, it's up to the, I know, in the commercial zone, we've always asked for streetscaping at this point, so it's really up to the,
Particularly since we just did it across the street.
I guess the question that's arisen is, typically when an applicant comes before the board for something new, and is within that C1 zone, if it is, but the mayor says it is, so I believe him. We ask for streetscape, the appropriate streetscape that we have set up for C1 zone to be included in the plans. Typically, it's some pavers, maybe it might be a light if necessary, a street light, but it's such a tight corner that I don't know.
well, and their frontage wraps
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah, wraps around.
It would be an exorbitant amount of pavers to do from, so you're talking about from Lakeview going all around?
It would be,
Or-
it would go forward, around on Marginal, and then back up Lakeview.
Didn't New Bridge Landing do this?
We would,
Did we require it for 7-Eleven?
Yes, we did.
Did we require it for the new 7-Eleven?
yes.
Did we require it for Sanducci's?
Yes.
Yes, the answer is yes.
And the new apartments, and actually
And the
they're
new
going
apartments.
further down.
Mhm.
I mean, it is something that we've required in the past. It
Can we
is a
do it?
borough ordinance.
Can we do a portion of, again, it's up to the, is there, because of the size of the building and the length of sidewalks we have, could we do,
You asked me one first.
could we do a,
I'm
no,
wondering if maybe it warrants a site inspection. I'm just trying to think of just along the lines of existing trees and that sort of thing, how that might, we might want to leave certain things in place or not affect certain things as a parking area. I'd say it should be one way or the other, but
just to figure out where exactly.
Well, the fact that the architect testified that the site needs dressing up to begin with, which I think everybody agrees with, I don't like doing these things halfway. We had the same discussion with the new 7-Eleven. You know, he was doing streetscape, not upgrading the building. And again, this is a visual marker for River Edge. And, you know, we just went through, or across the street, went through a lot of effort to upgrade that site. And if we want to upgrade this site, I think we have to be consistent how we apply these standards to everybody.
May I ask a question?
I mean, maybe on this, maybe the best thing is to dress the corner up, Bogart and Marginal, at least that would blend in and have a gateway. I mean, to do the whole Marginal Road. I mean, if they get into taking out the curves, it's a DOT application, it's DOT control. Again, it's up to you.
No one's yet to necessarily replace the curb. We got to see what the condition is.
But, I mean, the road's not, actually, it's supposed to be every heard this afternoon, see whether or not DOT, obviously with the chaos going on with the transportation fund, but the road itself needs to get milled and paved. Yeah, it's up to you, whatever the board desires. Your wish is my command, and if the applicant is willing to do so.
There's currently pavers on the corner.
Correct.
And who is responsible for that?
The mall,
The mall. Total Wine?
yes. Because that whole intersection was changed. Remember there was an island in the center?
No, I don't remember.
Over, that island was taken out. It was actually, the geometry was shifted over so the left lane came in, but easier to get it away from Main Street.
Oh, the curb.
Yes.
Oh, they adjusted the curb.
They took out the island and then,
Oh, I see.
the striped island went in and it was moved to the west.
Well, why don't we put that part on hold just for a moment, let's go to the other members of the board, and we can readdress that toward the end. Anybody else have any questions or concerns?
I'd like to ask Mr. Barron a
Monroe?
question.
Right.
I may?
Yeah.
The road, as you come down Bogart, it dips down. It goes down, and the parking lot on Bogart is actually up on a hill. The new retaining wall that they're putting along there that's going to raise that, it's going to be kind of sitting on the top of the hill. Will there be any impairment on vision as people come, you know, tearing down Bogart Road to get onto Route 4, you know, and go through there? Will they be able to look on Marginal Road, because Marginal Road is a two-way road?
I believe, Mr. Brown mentioned that the wall is.
It's,
full.
the height difference between the grades is 1 foot, and we made the wall 1 foot taller, just so there's some, so things can't
But
come
the
up
wall
quite a
doesn't
lot.
come all the way to the sidewalk, it's only halfway.
It's only about
Oh, okay.
15 feet too.
All right, fair,
So
that's
it's set back quite a
All
bit.
right. Thank you.
Anybody else on this side?
There's no intent to raise the roof, is there? Because the note says
No,
that
we,
that you have to confirm the ridge height, and it's setting it at maximum 30 feet, so. there's
yeah,
intent.
we're leaving the roof the way it is.
Anybody else on the right side? Okay. Yes, Mr. Costa?
One quick question. You originally planned this to just enclose that entry, right? That's.
The lower end,
That's all. That was carried over from the original.
yeah.
original
We were originally not, we have a different tenant, so we were just gonna renovate and enclose the left end of the building. And now we're just taking the planter away and putting a railing there and not enclosing that and lowering the stairs. We've come up with a different solution from the original one.
You have tenants currently in
Yes.
your
I have a signed tenant, yes. He's actually gonna be doing renovations to the ground level.
Can you mind sharing more? Yeah, but,
For the ground level?
we both.
Oh, I have a new tenant, he's a salon, hair salon, and he's taken the entire ground level, and really the reason why we're asking for the front doors and not the using the original set of doors is because he's similar to the tenant upstairs. Not exact, the tenant upstairs is wigs and hair extensions, whereas the tenant downstairs cuts hair. So we wanted to give them two separate entrances to the building. And he will be putting in, he'll be redoing the entire interior of the ground level for his hair salon, which he's already put in an application to the building department.
I do have a question. Are there any landscaping plans to replace the planters that are coming out?
No, we won't be replacing the planters, but we will be adding all new plants to the front to landscape around the new sidewalk, or the new walkway coming from the entry door to the sidewalk. There'll be new plantings left and right, new grass.
Okay. The only thing I will say is, as uncomfortable as it has been this board's management to follow the ordinance of the streetscape and require all new applicants, and really it has been all new applicants, to install the required streetscape with their approval. I understand that it creates a hardship because it's a tiny building on a huge sidewalk. I don't know if there could be some sort of negotiation here or not, Mayor.
That's not for me.
Right, but I'd like to hear your opinion.
I think we would run the risk then of not applying the ordinance equally. No one else, as we've said about, we didn't try to negotiate with other people and not do it either, so.
No, I agree.
But it's, but again, that's a consensus of the board, that's something we can do, but it's not something we've done.
Does anybody have any comments about this particular issue? Eileen?
Just if it's not done when they're here before us, it will never be done.
Mm-hmm. John, you have anything you want to add? No. Thank you. Lou?
No.
Gentleman on my right?
There's one question, and it's probably hard to do sitting here, but any idea on a percentage basis what doing streetscape would add to your cost? Is that the project, is it 10%, is it 5%?
With the streetscape, or
A lot of grass there, probably it's $15 a foot for soil now, got a bigger estimated.
are we saying just to replace
Is this streetscape replacing the sidewalks only? Replacing the cement sidewalks with pavers?
You would work.
What's involved in this?
You would work with our engineer to facilitate whatever is required. I know there are pavers. There may be a light that's required. I don't know.
Decorative lights, brick pavers.
On the sidewalks, decorative lights?
Yes.
And I would be paying for the electric to light them?
What this is.
There's solar,
They're
yeah.
going solar now.
Solar.
As long as the sun comes up in the morning.
I believe the town actually pays for those anyway, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not a
They
big
weren't
proponent of
sold.
decorative lights,
Right.
because they're just an added cost to the borough.
Does the borough provide the decorative lights?
We just did a
But,
pilot
yeah.
program, very recently, and what is up and operating. So that, I haven't heard any feedback back, but that's, all of the applications that have been proposed have agreed to put.
And it's part of the zoning.
Yeah, to me, the lights are secondary. It's more about the pavers and the sidewalk.
So if part of this give and take
Paper sidewalks.
would be that,
Between trees, a couple of big trees.
That would be, I believe that's Mr. Barron's.
The sidewalks now are very narrow, they're, I think, 2'6".
Well, then they don't
marginal
comply.
road.
They'll have to be made to comply with,
So they would have to be made wider?
yes. You can't have non-compliant sidewalk. Oh.
Not at the front. No, there's grass and cement. $20,000 issue?
Well, if the lighting part was waived, and the lighting is actually one of the more expensive pieces of this, and you would be just required to put the pavers and the sidewalk in.
So we wouldn't have to replace, so you're asking to replace all the cement with pavers? All cement sidewalks? No.
Some pavers, some sidewalk, but you have to take out the existing sidewalk.
Okay.
Redo a sidewalk.
Okay.
Between the curb and the sidewalk, there would be I believe it's 3 foot 6 inches of brick pavers, and then you would have a 4 foot long.
Do you have photographs of the front of the building?
Yeah.
Because we don't have all that room in front. It's a very narrow sidewalk in front of the building. On Archmont Road, it's very tiny. It's a 6 sidewalk and then 18 inch grass.
It's a 4 foot long and a 2 foot wide.
The only thing I will add is, if you were to seek relief of not having this done, and you ever decided to sell the building, or this is gonna come up again. This will always be hanging over your head, so it's a do it now or do it later type of thing.
I understand.
Not building it on the sidewalk.
Not sidewalks?
I mean, we have some, I mean, it appears we might. And there could be some, we could lose some parking based on.
No, because this is current, this brick is the new brick.
Sir, did you want to join them?
No, I just want to see that picture.
Okay.
I didn't remember. I didn't think any of it. Plenty of the building, but none of the sidewalks.
And the new sidewalks will go all the way to the other end of Bulger, the other end of my building? Or would it stop at the ramp coming around the other way on Bulger Street?
Start over, and wrap around to the
So
other.
you would start at the ramp, going up into the parking lot? So from that point around,
You start at the property line on Boulder,
the property,
start there,
all the way around?
and then you Lakeview is just obviously.
I mean, I think the main issue is probably 250 linear feet or 300 linear feet of sidewalk.
It's probably going to cost more than the renovation.
Probably about double what the renovation's going to cost. Maybe triple. We're only asking to take out a planter and put 2 doors and 2 windows in. Skirt roof, that's probably going to be $5,000.
Is it possible to postpone it? The installation of the sidewalk for a year? No, I would do it in one shot, and maybe in a year.
Well, you would sign a developer's agreement on this, and we would hold a bond, is that correct? Until the work was completed. And when the work was completed, the bond would be returned to you, is that?
I mean, that would be up to the municipality. I wouldn't do a full developer's agreement here, I would do a short form developer's agreement. If the board wanted this done within a certain period of time, that would be the obligation. Certainly, the bond would be worked out.
Mayor? Is that,
I'll see what the board,
anybody else have any opinion of that? I personally would not have a problem with letting them catch up with rent and so forth.
That's why,
I
because I
understand.
just bought the building
As long as you're willing to put up a bond, then
What would the bond be?
that would be up to our engineer and our planner.
I don't believe it would have to be a substantial bond, Mr. Puccios. It's not like it's, an outside developer. Yeah, I don't think it would have to be, significant amount of bond for this.
Well, it would have
And
to
very
come at
often,
cost.
and very often, you know, well, typically, well, I can't speak for a lot of towns, importantly, we don't even require bonding for streetscape improvements.
Well, how do you enforce it then?
It's still a requirement, if you want to get a CO or something, you'd have to do it, but you don't have to bond for it.
Well, the way that I'm looking at it is that based upon what the mayor is saying, we could enter into a short form developers agreement, which is basically 2 pages that says within a certain period of time, the streetscape will be approved. The building department can issue whatever CO is conditioned upon compliance with that agreement, so you have a certain level of enforcement. So you can do
I'd be okay with that.
You don't need to do the bond
Correct.
for the streetscape, and I think you achieve what you want to achieve by having that agreement with specific instructions for the building.
So you're aware that after a certain amount of period of time, if it's not completed, your CO can be pulled by the town.
And from what I understand from what Mr. Puccio is saying, he would like a year, I would suggest that it be 1 year with the ability to extend it for a 3-month period, depending what happens. This way we don't have to come back to the board and worry about certain building department issues. So if there's a problem.
I don't have an issue with that, and I don't know whether this speaks to, or maybe Mr. Burns can answer the question, because maybe going forward, and I'm a little disappointed Mr. Aquafredo is not here, because I'm sure he would have echoed my comment. When we get plans which are proposing significant architectural changes, I think we should be afforded the opportunity to have a little more detailed renderings, material colors, things like that, because, you know, we look at these things and we really have no idea how this is going to look. Obviously, I think it's going to look nice. I'm not disputing that, but I still think the board should be afforded the opportunity to see what it's going to look like in its finished.
So moving forward, or...
So I guess maybe when you come back with the signage, I'd like to see what the,
So we
done
can
by
do
then.
A render in the front with the signage on it, yes.
I'm just saying, moving forward, just,
Mhm.
you know, when you review the, because you get the plans before we do, just make sure they have a little bit more, you know, the detail that would be appropriate for us to be able to make a decision, because I agree with the mayor, you know, when it's black and white and there's no coloring or anything else, it's very difficult to tell what we're actually approving.
Would it be possible to start the planning of the construction of the front in the interim?
All right, here's our the timetable, and I was going to discuss it with the board. Because it's the summer months, my plan was to ask our attorney, who is very, very adept at doing timely memorializations, to have the memorialization put on our docket for whatever that 4th Thursday is,
The 28th.
which would be 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
And then we would then bring the memorialization forward. If it's approved, which I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be, you're on the clock for 45 days. You can start once you get your approval tonight. But of course, if there's a challenge or anything else, it's a roll of the dice for you. Well, if you do get an approval this evening, then it's up to you. Is that correct? Right.
That's correct. I mean, you can start working on construction drawings, applying for permits.
Well, yeah,
The
it will take a few
building,
weeks.
the building department will not react until they have the board's resolution also. So
And that would be
into
July 28th?
July 28th.
Okay.
What needs to be done, Mr. Puccio, so that you're aware, a notice of approval should be published indicating that approval was granted, if that's what the board decides to do this evening, after the resolution is adopted. That cuts off people from challenging your approval. So if you were going for financing and some bank said, did you get an approval, they would want to know that you published your notice. So, I mean, you can contact Nicole, she'll have a form. If she doesn't, I'll get her.
Are we actually granting any variances?
According to what I've seen, you are confirming the existing
variance, but there's
non-conformity,
no variances.
but I
for
don't
the
believe
construction.
there is any new variances that are created.
We did identify 2. One was the projection of the roof structure into the required front yard. It exceeds the allowable square footage. And so, again, there is a provision that says a structure like that can extend 5 feet from the yard setback, which would be 25 feet from the property line. This is effectively about 11.5 feet corner is about 11.5 feet from the property line, so that's one. And the other, it's a matter of the ordinance is that there's no signage permitted on such a projecting structure.
But we're gonna deal with the signage.
We're not approving
on
the
another-
signage.
Yeah.
So that could be held up, but just, those are the two variances for this application.
And the existing roof line is already non-compliant, though, right?
Well, the whole building is within the required setback, but this structure does exacerbate it, so that
Right.
it brings it that much closer.
All right, so tonight, we're basically just granting the one
The
variance
projection.
for the projection, and then we'll have to deal with the signage, when you come back. Okay, any other final comments from the board? Any
Tom,
final- I'm sorry, Lou.
What is the required setback for the area where this
In the front
projection is
yard-
going?
In the front yard, the C1 zone is a 30-foot setback, and so, as I mentioned, the projections can extend 5 feet within that front yard, except they have to be 35 square feet or less. So there are those two provisions that limit projections in the front.
So what is the distance from the end of the projection right now
I
to?
believe, as I measured it, I think it was 11.5 feet from the front property line.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, not hearing anything.
It's nothing to do with that, but the way this order is written, doesn't it sound like it's more for like a residential, we talk about 35 square feet in a commercial zone?
I mean, typically, well, one way to look at it, yeah, that would be typically over the, portico over a front door, but it doesn't distinguish between residential or commercial. I would suggest that limiting it, in this case, to 35 square feet would make a whole lot of sense.
That's what- so what- yeah, so-
And visually, it would look better to extend it throughout the,
It doesn't seem like it should be this kind of requirement under a C1 zone, that's what I'm, maybe something we need to look at in terms of the ordinance.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think this should be, I don't think you should have required variance for what he's doing for this, for a commercial property.
I believe it was in the,
Well, I don't think there's a harm in granting it.
No, I'm not saying that.
If we grant it, and we come up later on and we figure out it's not needed, there's no harm, no foul. At least when it's granted, they know they can do the work that they want to do. So, I mean, at this point, it doesn't make sense to go back and try to refigure it out. If this is what you've decided, then we'll just go ahead with the variance, and again, if it's determined that it's not needed, then you don't have to worry about it. All right, at this point, I think at the time, I'm prepared to take a motion from the floor. Please. I can't do it anymore. I'm here now.
Motion to approve the plan as discussed.
By Mr. Monroe, including the variance for the front yard setback, and
I'll do the conditions if we get a
Okay.
second.
do I have a second?
Second.
Who was the second, Ms. Councilman Craig? Craig. All right, we have a motion to approve the site plan along with the variance for the roof line as discussed. The conditions are the parking areas will be paved, the parking lots will be paved and striped, the concrete apron will be repaired, any...
Hold on. Are we doing streetscape because it's...
Yes, we are.
I'm gonna get there. Okay. I mentioned the concrete apron. Any lighting will be appropriately shielded in the parking area from the residential area. Signage will be addressed with respect to a future application, and streetscape will be subject to a developer's agreement to be completed within a 1-year time period. So those are all the conditions, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Yes.
All right, are there any issues with the Mr. Monroe or Mr. Craig regarding the motion subject to those conditions?
No.
Okay. Call for a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Mr.
Mr. Costa?
Just one interruption. Since it's going to be a salon, obviously maybe a little more water, a little more, just feed the sewer to make sure that the sewer bottle is that. We don't like water sewage in the streets.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Alackelli,
Yes.
Mayor Mignon,
Yes.
Ms. Boland,
Yes.
Mr. Grasso,
Yes.
Mr. Monroe,
Yes.
Mr. Caslin,
Yes.
and Mr. Craig.
Yes.
Okay, it's unanimous, Mr. Chairman, and we will do
Motion
the,
passed.
we will do the resolution for the next
For the next,
meeting.
for the next, so 2 Thursdays, it'll be expedited a little bit. Maybe we can take the month of August off. Mhm.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
So, it sounds like the guy downstairs cuts all the hair off, then you go up and you get a wig.
And get it put back on. Exactly.
Sounds like they're working well together.
When did you buy the building?
Excuse me?
When did you buy the building?
October.
Somebody, for some reason, thinks...
I remember the mortgage company.
Barbershop's over
I know.
Creepy people, so. good for
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much.
All right, can I entertain a motion for adjournment?
I motion we adjourn.
Mr. Monroe?
Second.
Mayor? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, abstained? Thank you very much.
So we're back here on the 28th?
Getting rid of the money.
28th
Yeah.
for the
Jim, we're back here on the 28th?
Yes.
Okay.